Whoopi Goldberg never saw it coming, neither from Bill Maher, nor from Karoline Leavitt. Her expression froze in shock, as if the ground had been pulled out from under her. What was supposed to be just another easy segment, light banter, forgettable opinions, suddenly erupted into an all-out verbal showdown. And right at the center of the blast was Whoopi. Karoline entered like a quiet storm, composed on the surface, but blazing with purpose beneath. Without hesitation, she cut straight through the facade, exposing the hypocrisy Whoopi had been hiding behind for years. Then came Bill Maher, razor-sharp, unfiltered, his sarcasm hitting like a blade through the air. The laughter that followed wasn't playful, it was thunderous, each punchline smashing through Whoopi's defenses. Her attempts to steer things back fell flat. Karoline remained calm, unshaken, and then delivered the knockout line with chilling composure. With all due respect, you don't get to decide who gets a seat at the table. The audience gasped. In that moment, it felt less like a TV segment, and more like history being written.
Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help.
The mistake really is there's too much BS floating out there, and now it's out of our hands. There's no way to control it, so now they're saying they're going to control it. I want to see what they're going to do.
My team will review the applications and give credentials to new media applicants who meet our criteria and pass United States Secret Service requirements to enter the White House complex.
All right. What'd she say?
The panel spiraled into chaos, scrambling to control the conversation, but it was already too late. The damage had been done, and Bill Maher was only getting started. He came in swinging, tearing the show's hypocrisy wide open. You preach unity only when it benefits your side, he fired, and the room instantly fell silent. Whoopi tried to push back, but her voice cracked, her hands flailed, and her tone wavered. Meanwhile, Maher and Leavitt stood like stone, sharp, calm, and unshaken. Then Karoline delivered the hammer blow. So, dinner with Trump outrages you, but the constant insults from this panel don't. The words detonated. The audience gasped, half in shock, half in stunned silence. This wasn't just a talk show anymore. It was a dismantling of a narrative no one had ever dared to confront on live TV. Whoopi fumbled to pivot, but Maher leaned back, smirking. What's the matter, Whoopi? Not used to a little resistance. Another gasp swept the room. The power dynamic had shifted in an instant. Whoopi's usual command of the table was gone, and for the first time, she looked shaken. Karoline wasn't done. She came armed with dates, names, and direct quotes, laying out hard evidence of how The View twisted stories to fit their agenda. People aren't blind, she said coldly. They've been watching the spin for years. The camera zoomed in on Whoopi's clenched jaw. She was furious, yet speechless. Joy Behar tried to save the moment with a joke, but it died instantly. The truth had sucked the air out of the room, and nobody was laughing anymore.
To get past this endless, unforgiving, zero-tolerance mindset bent on punishing and disappearing anyone caught saying the wrong thing.
What made this clash truly explosive wasn't just the words, it was the delivery. Bill Maher and Karoline Leavitt stayed icy calm, razor-sharp, and completely unshaken by the storm they had just unleashed. Karoline leaned back, eyes locked, and dropped the line that detonated the room. You call it progress. We call it propaganda. The audience erupted, gasps and cheers colliding in a wave of raw energy. Whoopi tried to recover with a dramatic speech about defending democracy, but Maher cut her down with a single question. Since when does democracy mean silencing those who disagree? The weight of it hit like thunder. Sunny Hostin jumped in, desperate to rescue the moment. It's about protecting marginalized voices, she exclaimed. Karoline didn't even blink. Her retort was swift, surgical. Interesting how the only voices you protect are the ones that echo your politics. The room froze. Even the crew stopped moving. This wasn't in the script, and that's exactly why no one could look away. Shaken, Whoopi pointed at Maher, accusing him of normalizing dangerous people. But Maher leaned forward with a grin. Oh, you mean like presidents you praised, until they stopped playing your game? Boom. Another direct hit. Whoopi lashed back, accusing him of betraying his values for applause. But Maher didn't flinch. I didn't abandon progress, he snapped. I walked away from the hypocrisy hiding inside it. The panel was unraveling, and then Karoline delivered the kill shot, her voice calm, cutting, unstoppable. It's not progress to mock faith, bully parents, and treat disagreement like a crime. The words sliced through the air like a blade. The View's table looked like it was cracking apart, years of one-sided comfort collapsing under the sheer weight of truth and accountability.
Listen, take him seriously and take him literally.
I don't think that we have to. I think it would be remiss of us to not say, Joe Biden knows how to do this.
Yes.
He knows how to do this. He's quite good at this. And, you know, you can't refute anything with him because he just, when I say him, I mean...
He rambles.
Trump.
Yeah.
He tends to just...
But can I mention one thing?
No amount of awkward laughter could hide the meltdown unfolding live on air. The damage was already done, and millions of viewers couldn't look away. Bill Maher wasn't finished, not even close. He turned straight to the camera and dropped a brutal truth. We used to laugh even when we disagreed. Now jokes are treated like crimes. The line hit like lightning, and Whoopi felt the burn. Then Karoline stepped in with a speech so sharp it lit up the internet. We stopped listening because shows like this turned real debate into a scripted circus. But here's the truth, you don't get to write everyone's lines anymore. The crowd erupted backed into a corner. Whoopi lashed out, accusing Maher and Leavitt of spreading division. But Maher stayed cool as ice. You're confusing disagreement with danger. And that's the real threat. The air grew heavy. The segment was spiraling into chaos. Behind the scenes, producers scrambled to regain control, but this wasn't a talk show anymore. It was a live implosion. Karoline's voice cut through the noise like a siren. People are tired of being told what they can laugh at, talk about, or believe in. Her words cracked through the studio like thunder. Whoopi rolled her eyes, waiting for applause, but it never came. Just silence. A silence more powerful than any argument. Right before the break, Maher fired one last shot. You don't cancel someone over a dinner guest. That's just called being an adult. The camera zoomed in on Whoopi's stunned face. Her silence said it all. When the show returned, the tension still hung in the air like smoke. Producers tried to smother it with fluff and celebrity chatter, but the blaze wasn't out. Then Karoline dropped another grenade, aimed straight at their favorite word, unity. Unity doesn't mean pretending we all think the same. It means accepting differences without punishing them. The words exploded like cannon fire.
Nobody on the planet really wants to go through this. This is not something we're doing because it's, you know, really gratifying. This is what we're doing to protect our families. And you don't have to do it, but stay away from everything.
The audience began clapping, hesitant at first, then louder, stronger, unstoppable. The energy in the room had flipped completely. Whoopi made one last attempt to win sympathy, scrambling to pull the show back in her favor. But Karoline didn't let it slide. You want respect, she said boldly. Then stop treating every challenger like an enemy. The room froze in heavy silence. Maher jumped in instantly, fire in his tone. Exactly. You can't stand on moral high ground while shaming people into silence. His words were sharp, steady, and impossible to ignore. What happened next wasn't just television, it was a cultural explosion. Social media ignited. Clips of the clash went viral within minutes. Hashtags trended faster than producers could hit the panic button. By the time the show neared its end, the co-hosts sat in disbelief. They weren't guiding the conversation anymore, they were watching it unravel. Then Karoline dropped the final hammer. America needs honest conversation, not a daytime soap dressed up as journalism. We're done being quiet. The crowd erupted. Her words landed like steel. As the credits rolled, Whoopi sat in stunned silence. No smile. No closing line. Nothing. Her silence told the story, and no excuse could rewrite it. Maher and Leavitt hadn't just shown up. They had dominated. With fearless clarity, biting humor, and unshakable strength, they broke through the noise of a stage built to drown them out. And it wasn't just Whoopi who got exposed, it was the entire illusion The View had been selling. The facade of open dialogue was torn apart for the world to see. When the dust settled, the wreckage was undeniable. The mainstream media tried to spin it, calling it a heated debate or a passionate exchange. But nobody bought it. The truth was crystal clear. Whoopi got cornered, and she had no way out. Karoline Leavitt didn't just make an appearance, she seized the stage. She walked away with momentum at her back, carried by a tidal wave of online support. And her message rang out across America. This age of untouchable media elites, it's finished.
As you know, 12 days ago I had dinner with President Trump, a dinner that was set up by my friend Kid Rock, because we share a belief that there's got to be something better than hurling insults from 3,000 miles away. And let me first say that to all the people who treated this like it was some kind of summit meeting, you're ridiculous. Like I was going to sign a treaty or something. I have no power. I'm a comedian, and he's the most powerful leader in the world. I'm not the leader of anything, except maybe a contingent of centrist-minded people who think there's got to be a better way of running this country than hating each other every...
Back on Real Time, Bill Maher sank into his chair with a sly grin. Well, he smirked, that was fun. The crowd roared with laughter. They knew exactly what he meant. They had just watched the truth cut straight through the noise, but behind the scenes? Chaos.abc executives scrambled into a late-night emergency meeting, panicked, sweating, desperate. Insiders leaked the marching orders, tone it down. No more political disasters we can't control. Translation, they were terrified. The backlash hit like a storm. Ratings wobbled. Longtime fans whispered, the show isn't what it used to be. Maher and Karoline hadn't just shaken things up, they had rattled the entire system. And here's the twist, Whoopi herself once declared, truth matters more than feelings. But when truth finally showed up on her stage, she ran from it like fire. Karoline wasn't there to argue, she was there to lead. She showed that real strength doesn't come from shouting. It comes from speaking clearly, standing tall, and daring to say what others are too afraid to. Maher wasn't just the comedian that night, he was the wrecking ball. He reminded America that real comedy punches up, not down. That when you strip away fear, even the loudest bullies fall silent. Meanwhile, Whoopi became the face of everything broken in modern media, quick to accuse, eager to silence, and utterly unprepared when confronted with facts. But this wasn't just about one fiery clash. It was the breaking point after years of build-up, years of smug jabs masked as humor, fake compassion hiding tight control, and silencing anyone who dared to disagree. Then finally, someone had the courage to say that's enough. People didn't just watch that moment. They felt it. In their bones the mask slipped. The tide shifted. And for the first time in years, it felt like something real was finally breaking
The
through.
mistake really is there's too much BS floating out there, and now it's out of our hands. There's no way to control it, so now they're saying they're going to control it. I want to see what they're going to.
The tidal wave of silence, shame, and scripted opinions finally hit a wall, and shattered. The floodgates burst open, and for the first time in years, real voices broke through the noise. That Karoline's follow-up interview set the internet ablaze. They don't get to decide who speaks anymore. That era is done. With those words, the ground under the View began to shake. Backlash poured in online. Even longtime fans turned. I used to love Whoopi, one viral comment read. But this was all ego, no truth. Another cut deeper, Leavitt brought facts. They brought feelings. That contrast echoed everywhere, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. It was unstoppable. Even mainstream outlets were forced to cover it. Karoline and Maher had become unlikely heroes in a culture starving for honesty. What made the moment hit so hard? They never backed down. No apologies. No spin. Just truth. And people loved them for it. Even comedians and late-night hosts weighed in. Maher did the unthinkable. He walked into the lion's den and walked out stronger. And Karoline? She walked out with a new nickname blazing across the internet, the View Slayer. Suddenly, the View wasn't leading the conversation anymore. They were on defense. Questions piled up, criticism mounted, and they had no answers. In the end, Karoline Leavitt and Bill Maher didn't just win a TV segment. They ignited a cultural firestorm. A moment that proved truth still matters, and boldness can still shake the ground. And as another tense episode of The View faded to black, one thing was undeniable: the age of unchallenged narratives is over. And the truth? It's just getting started.